This week on the Shameless podcast.
So you woke up one day, government implemented a policy, suddenly all the money that you'd put into that product line vanished.
Vanished overnight. I mean, that cannot be the determinant of our success because every single success has multiple failures behind it. So this is one of it. Moving on. So we decided that, okay, we're going to get a few licenses that will help us to expand our customer reach and the kind of products that we put on the market. We anticipated that license was going to take us maybe like 6 months. It took us 24 months, literally. We were on this for 2 years.
And I've got a question about Silicon Valley.
Okay. From our recent NSIA Innovation Award, became first out of 7,000 applicants and contestants in Nigeria, and we're very, very proud of it. So part of the win was that we got some equity, but then we also got the opportunity to spend some time in Silicon Valley where we get to learn from the gurus and see where the trend is going. We're using tech to tackle the democratization of access to credit because we find that a lot of businesses really just die out before their 5th anniversary.
So what are the challenges that you've faced trying to scale your business?
The high cost of doing business in Nigeria in general, Nigeria ranks 131 out of 190 economies. There's inflation sitting around 32.7-ish, and that is constantly leading to thin margins for us. So there's that challenge. So you have to find creative ways to compete and stay afloat. There are countless experiences that I have been through as a woman in business, as a young woman in business, as an African young woman in business. There are so many experiences that are so unique to my own journey that if I don't get to tell the story, it will be lost.
Sometimes we are afraid to do something. You fear shame. I don't want shame. We're trying to break that burden by sharing stories of courage, resilience, and we want to be able to celebrate your story.
Shameless.
Good day, wonderful people. My name is Zikamai Gangaidzo and I'm the host of the Shameless podcast. Today we are in Lagos, Nigeria, and I do not have the courage to try to say your name, so I'm just going to let you go for it. Tell us.
Okay. We practiced this. Okay, my name is Onye Okonji.
I got stage fright. So go ahead. Say it again. Say the first name again.
Okay, my name is Onyinye. Onyinye is short form. The full name is Onyinye Chukwuka. It means the gift of God.
Aha! And we receive and we thank him. So I'm so honored to have you today on the podcast. It's not often that we find a serial entrepreneur. Would you consider yourself a serial entrepreneur?
Definitely. I am very honored to be here too.
And we are thrilled to have you. So let's dive into your journey. Which one came first, Sycamore or Bedrock?
The Sycamore came in 2019, Bedrock in 2022. Yes, so Sycamore came first.
All right. So I've got a question. Bedrock. Why the industry?
Okay, so for us, we were simply looking for a bigger space for Sycamore at the time. We had grown in capacity and we needed to house everybody in one location. So we got this place. I wanted like a campus style where it's not like commercial office space. So we saw this place in Ikeja. It's in Lagos as well. And it was way too big for us. Way too big for us. So basically, he said, look, in this local government area, that this particular business does very well, right? And he's a housing agent, so he would know, right? And we did our own research. We thought about it, prayed about it, considered it very carefully in terms of our cash flow as well, and decided that, you know what, if it works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, we've sublet the entire space and we'll just let it out to new sub-tenants, right? So we took the way too big place, and we decided that, okay, after like 6 months or something, we decided, okay, let's even start this business. If it works out, fine. If it doesn't work out, fine. I didn't have any experience in hospitality in the way we are running it now. But you know what? It's a no-brainer, right? People want to, it's Airbnb, right? So we have a place. Yeah, if we have a place, you want a place, you pay us money, you sleep, wake up, go. However, there are more to that than just sleep, wake up, go, and then that's the end of the business. There's the back end work that is so much more than I didn't anticipate that part because there's you have to deal with a lot of people that I wasn't dealing with in Sycamore at the time because it was very straightforward. You speak English, they understand your English, you go to go. This one, we had to speak with a lot of artisans, a lot of people that were like really, really junior, and it was literally starting again. All the hurdles that I had, jumped and passed with Sycamore, it was like opening it again and starting all over again, and the stress and the grit and the grunt of it.
That must have been incredibly demanding. But I can also see how your ability to persevere and adapt has shaped not only your business, but also your broader impact. For instance, Hand of Love, which you're committed to and is committed to promoting the education of young girls and combating food insecurity within Lagos.
So we started in 2020 in the thick of COVID, the COVID lockdown. So in the area where I used to live before, there were a lot of people who did daily work, like their work was daily wage, right? So if they don't work that day, they don't eat. And during the lockdown, I felt a lot of despair. I'm an empath. That's my personality. And so I decided to do something about it. So initially, I was just cooking for the people in my, compound where I lived, the security guards and the cleaning ladies. Then the lockdown let off, and I decided I can't cook every day, and I will go to work. I did babies. The lockdown was let off. They can go and work now. But to let go of it became really difficult for me. So I decided that, okay, you know what? Let me pay someone to do it. And then I started to pay someone to do it. And, I started doing it once a week, right? On Saturdays. So Saturday, eventually my friends joined in, they'll bring fruits, I'll pay for the food and water, and then we share several packs of food to people who wanted.
That's such an inspiring initiative, turning empathy into action and making a tangible impact in your community.
Thank you.
And I've got a question about Silicon Valley.
Okay.
What benefits do you feel you can gain by spending a bit of time in Silicon Valley?
Okay. So thank you for this question. I think that where it's coming from is from our recent NSIA Innovation Award. We came first out of 7,000 applicants and contestants in Nigeria, and we're very, very proud of it. So the part of the win was that we got some equity, but then we also got the opportunity to spend some time in Silicon Valley, where we get to learn from the gurus and see where the trend is going in terms of innovation. So that is currently in the works, and we're very, very super proud of it, and we can't wait to even see what comes out of this opportunity.
And if I could ask, what space did you win that prize of innovation in terms of what sector, and what was the innovation?
So everything we do in Sycamore was on the basis of the application, right? So we're using tech to tackle the democratization of access to credit, because we find that a lot of businesses really just die out before their 5th anniversary. And part of the things that are lacking is access to credit. That's the solution that we bring to the market, where you can actually rely on technological solutions such as our websites or our app and then USSD to apply for loans and get it without leaving the comfort of your home and giving it to the right people so that they can advance their businesses. A lot of companies do not like to touch businesses because of the risk profile that it carries. So it's really usually feast or famine. And for us, we want to be able to say, hey, there has to be a method to this madness. That is the innovation we're trying to bring to market as well, just to figure out how quickly, but also how efficiently we can process loans for businesses.
That is so exciting. And I agree with you. There must be method to the madness. And so you've got a proven track record in scaling innovative ventures within the hospitality and the financial services sector. And you're the co-founder and chief commercial officer of Sycamore, a leading technology-enabled financial platform. And you've been also a co-founder of Bedrock Residencies, which is a thriving hospitality brand offering premium private spaces for stay, shoots, and events. And I wanted to then maybe reverse, just go way back. When you were growing up, did you grow up in Lagos?
I did.
And if you were to give me sort of two memories, just two, of events that happened that really impacted the way that you view life and form a large part of your current character.
Okay, so I think one of the core childhood memories that I have is us moving around a lot. We moved quite a bit when I was young. So you can, in the space of maybe 10 years, we had moved maybe like 2-3 times. And that happened, quite frequently. What that did for me was sort of make me want to anchor myself to a place as an adult and just be grounded in this place and not move so often anymore, right? And so when the conversation came up with, what are some of the things that you may be interested in as we grow Sycamore and maybe you're trying to expand your portfolio? I said real estate, but specifically hospitality, because I mean that's the premise to being grounded. It's like rooting yourself in the ground, right? And so practicing along the value chain of real estate was very, very pivotal for me and very important to me. And it has become important to me as an adult. So it may have been the foundation to actually setting up Bedrock, right? Because now I run that hospitality brand as a real estate expression of the businesses that we are currently involved in. This is one. The second one would be just I usually was I was very sheltered, so I didn't used to really go out to play. And then after a while, I went to boarding house. I think boarding house for me taught me quite a bit. I wasn't a child anymore. I was a teenager, and that taught me a lot of discipline and organization around my thoughts and myself. So those are two core memories from, when I was younger that live with me today.
And so how do you then translate that discipline and organizational skill to being a co-founder of two businesses?
Well, as an entrepreneur, you need a lot of discipline because you don't want a situation where people invest money and then 2 seconds later, the business is non-existent and, it's down the drain. You know what I mean? So we've had to, exercise a lot of discipline in our early years. In fact, this our early years because, when we are when you're building, you cannot build for now. You have to build for the future, and it takes a lot to look at something that you have now and you can be gratified today to say, no, let's replow and let's keep building. Let's keep expanding this because it can be more, right? So that's really was the foundation for learning discipline. I think it also instilled a certain level of let's just get it done, no matter what happens. Like grit, I'm not going to stop until it's done. So yeah, that
Yeah.
grittiness, yeah.
And would you be able to give me an example of as you were building the business, where you really had to exercise some of that grit, like where you had your back against the wall and you're like, I am not going to let this stop me?
There's so many. Like I can give you two. One recent, one very early on. So I mean, our business is money, right? We sell technically money, right? In quote, right? So you're always in the market for liquidity. There's always a case to be made for raising money in debt or in equity, however it comes. And for us, it's you have to beat the odds. There are systemic occurrences that happened in Nigeria with the current headwinds. That's really a separate conversation, but there's systemic things that happen in our sector that just shook the system. Interest rates have skyrocketed, right? And so that also leads to people wanting more for the same amount that they were giving you before. So you can have money in the system, but it suddenly becomes a little more expensive, and you've already given it out at a certain rate. So your margins are cut. You would have to still stay there, right? I remember this other one where we had already started a product line. It was directed specifically for road transport workers. It was just cleared out by the Okada ban in 2020. Okay, so Okada is the local name for motorcycles, right? Commercial motorcycles. And we used to loan money to them because we knew that they were daily workers and we're trying to learn how they manage their own process so that we can extend more credits to them. So we started to pilot a product with them called Taxi Money. One policy from the government that year wiped the entire product and the investment because once they were banned, they disbanded from the parks. You can't locate them anymore. That's it. This was done.
So you woke up one day, government implemented a policy, suddenly all the money that you had put into that product line vanished.
Vanished overnight.
And as a team, what was that discussion like between the lot of you? How did you want to try fight it? Did you want to or did you just go?
So the thing is, you can fight it in your mind where you say you won't give up. This one thing will not sink you, right? And that's what we did. We said, you know what? There would be instances where we'll try and we'll fail. That cannot be the determinant of our success, right? Because every single success has multiple failures behind it. So this is one of it. Moving on. If people can actually be in that moment and just cry and be in that moment, not move, not try, not risk any other venture, not try to lend to businesses, not try to lend to another sector, try and create another niche. Because that was us trying to create a niche where we said, okay, these people are also small businesses on a very micro level because they run their businesses by themselves, right?
Yeah.
So what's to say we shouldn't lend to these guys? And so we started and it didn't work out. So we moved on. There'll be instances like that. I'll give you one last one. Let me bust your head, right? We decided that, during this, because of our business, so we're progressing, right? We don't want to stay where we are. So what's next? We're always looking for what's next, right? So we decided that, okay, we're going to get a few licenses that will help us to expand our customer reach and the kind of products that we put on the market. So we have two apex bodies in Nigeria, CBN and SEC. We decided to go with SEC and get a license from them, a fund manager's license. we anticipated that license was going to take us maybe like 6 months. It took us 24 months, literally. We were on this for 2 years. There was a political season that passed, and that affected the board being, dissolved and then reinstituted, and then they start. It was a long, long process. Now, all the innovations and the plans and things, it has to wait. It has to wait for us to get the right license for us to be able to put them on the market. So you will just decide that you're not going to give up. You just said that this current headwinds are not going to stop you. If it comes like this from the left, go right. It's just redirecting. That's what it is.
And at any moment, did you want to give up?
Look, and the thing is, there are very, very difficult times that would happen that you just question, why am I here? What am I doing here? Like, I can be safe or take a risk and see how it goes. That's the point I was in where when we started Sycamore, that's my own headspace. I can be safe, get a job, they'll pay me a fixed amount, and I'll probably mourn every day when I'm going to the office, but I would be safe. Or I can take this risk, nothing to lose. Even if it doesn't work out, I will be fine. So I decided to take the risk, and 5 years risking it all, it has an impact on you. It will really have an impact on you. It has an impact on your mental health. It has on mine, definitely. It has an impact on your physical health because there was a glitch in my life that for 2 months I was, not at work, basically. It will have an impact on your family life because you are just constantly on your phone, online and transmitting on your system or at work or not available, So it really takes away from you. But what it does give you is a lot more than you anticipated. So right now, there'll be no story for me to tell if I hadn't gone on this journey, right? There are countless experiences that I have been through as a woman in business, as a young woman in business, as an African young woman in business. There are so many experiences that are so unique to my own journey that it's like, if I don't get to tell the story, it will be lost. You can choose safety or you can risk it all. It's your choice.
And that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Also, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the thing that drives you, like something greater than yourself, a greater purpose that's driving this? Or is it, I want to be as rich as possible?
I don't think so. I think that there is more. So why not get it? If it was just about riches, Sycamore would have been perfect. It would have been fine for me, right? Because how else to describe it? You're in financial services. You're an entrepreneur in financial services. You'll be fine. But it's always, for me, there's an itch that when it comes, I need to scratch it. For me, it's more into building a legacy, right? What will you leave behind? What would your story be like after you're gone? At 60, when you reflect, what are you going to be seeing? It says legacy building. And there is always more to it. There's always an expanding horizon once you put your head up. So what motivates me? Living a legacy, living a sustainable and solid legacy.
I love that. And I'm going to ask this in two ways. The first one is, as you provide loans, as you provide working capital, money, access to capital, you are providing somebody the ability to grow and to scale. What are the important things that you would advise people around, number one, being able to get a loan, but secondly, about how they use the money once they have it?
Okay, around getting a loan as a business, it's very important to delineate your personal from business accounts. Very, very important. That's, I think, one of the things that a lot of people get wrong because my money and our money are mixed in. So there's private expenses, rearing their heads in the business that you're wondering how to, when we're analyzing, wondering, do you really take care of, the spa date that's showing in this business, in this manufacturing business? So, delineating your entity versus your business entity, you as a person versus your business, right?
And before you go to the second question, when you see somebody mixing their spa dates with their manufacturing business, what is your thought? Like, what is your thought like when you're looking at such statements?
You're not ready. You're not ready for the big league.
You're not ready?
You're trying to take a loan.
Why?
You're trying to take a loan. And we're not sure if it's actually going to go into manufacturing or into more pampering for you. If we say you bring supplements with your banks, with your own personal bank statement, we're okay to see any type of spending there. What we're really targeting is your cash flow. How is money coming in? How is it going out? There's a pattern. If there is also a pattern of bulk money coming in, bulk money going out, and maybe a day after, and then the account is zeroed, then there's a problem because what are you really lending to? But you see how businesses like, let me give you an example. Okay, so you have like a supermarket. There is 500 naira, 35, 25, 250K, 1 million, different amounts, different times, just constant cash flow. What we can do is be able to say, based on this cash flow, an aggregate of it averaged out, this is what your business can access on a like for a loan. We will be able to calculate what you can access based on your debt to income, and then we're able to advise you and all of that. But if we see all sorts of things mixed in there, we will then do the hard work of removing all of that. So you see people who come in with heavy statements. What we mean by heavy statements, you see maybe 400 million naira, 1 billion going through for the last 6 months. And then you're seeing most of it as non-business spend. It is really not, we cannot bank on that. So we'll have to deduct and then, streamline to what is it that you use, what monies are really focused on the business.
So even outside the cash flow, though, it gives you a question around trust and or credibility as a business entity versus a human.
Absolutely.
And that's very interesting. So the other part of that question is, as you scale your business, what are the challenges that you've faced trying to scale your business?
So, oh my God, in different years and in different sectors, so many different problems, right? And challenges. I mean, I think in summary, there are a few, right? Balancing our short-term and long-term goals. That's, you only have a finite amount of resources. You have to allocate very effectively. So it's that practice, that balancing act that we are learning, right? There is also, the question of ethics. You're meant to go through a process, but okay, let me pay me and then I can help you, that kind of thing. So you have to decide if you're going to be a straight-jacketed person or you're going to do that. I know that the brain drain challenge where we're recruiting and training people and then they're deciding to leave the country. So there's a loss of business intelligence and that leads to increased cost of recruitment and training, right? There's high cost of doing business in Nigeria. In general, Nigeria ranks 131 as at last count, or out of 190 economies, right? So that poses its own challenges. This context of where we do business, right? There's inflation sitting around 32%, 32.7 ish now, and that is constantly leading to thin margins for us. So there's that challenge. So you have to find creative ways to compete and stay afloat. There's maintaining liquidity with rising interest rate. You are in between lending and you already have an average cost of funds. Meanwhile, somebody says, hey, my investments with you matures here and I want plus 5%. We can't have that cost to the borrower. On the other hand, we have to absorb it. So thinning margins all around. The regulatory hurdles I've mentioned one, keeping up with technological advancements so that our own services are optimized for the customers who are constantly becoming savvy, more savvy than ever. Right. So there are a lot of things to just keep our eyes peeled for. You have to get the right people. People, very essential. You have to pay top dollar for the right people. And that's if they're interested in coming to work for you. We've been through it. But yeah.
So I've got a question. Every once in a while, I'm trying to learn new things, learn different things. And today, I learned Jakpa. Jakpa?
Yes, Jakpa.
And one thing that's really interesting is that sort of just in the UK alone, there are over 270,000 Nigerians living in the UK. And you talked about the brain drain, which is what Jakpa is. And at the end of the day, we see a lot of some of those bright minds, some of those wonderful potential leaders of the continent going elsewhere or going abroad in seek of greater pastures.
Yeah.
Now, for you as Sycamore,
yes,
what opportunities do you think that could possibly pose in terms of access to capital? And what creative products? Show us why you're innovative, why you came 1 out of 7,000.
So instead of looking at the Jakpa as only a challenge, we decided to look at it with a fresh lens and say, okay, what opportunity is here to take advantage of? So we said, okay, you know what? While there's an immigration from Nigeria, there's immigration to somewhere. And if I'm leaving Nigeria now, I also don't have a footing in the UK. So I can't really access credit to sort of settle in. And take note that most of the people that are leaving from Nigeria are not living with wealth like that to be converted to pounds, where they can live so super comfortably before they get a job. They're usually like managing resources to get that first job, to then settle in, to then start to live comfortably. So there's a sort of a process, a journey that the average Nigerian will go through to settle into their new life in a new country. And that process usually, more often than not, involves credits. Now, because their limits in the UK is so limited, their limit is limited, right? You cannot get enough to manage your family of 4, 5, 6. I mean, Nigeria used to give birth plenty. So you don't have enough to feed, clothe, and provide for shelter. Nigeria, a lot of these things are super cheap. So there's a likelihood that you would under budget. So here is an opportunity for us to come in and say, hey, you know what? You that are still settling in, you're a Nigerian. How about we offer you a loan and then you start to pay us in bits? So talking to the Nigerians in the diaspora to, take credit from us and then remedies when they are, more settled and, in the flow of things where their cash flow has risen and they're more comfortable.
That's a very innovative look at it, because settling in is obviously a large expense. It's also a difficult moment. And whether you're a student, whether you're moving not as a student, it's some support, just like with the small to medium sized enterprises, could take you a long way and set you up for a lot of success. And so I've seen what you've done there, and I admire that. And that's why you are number 1 out of 7,000. How did you think of that? How did that idea come around?
It's constant keeping your eyes peeled. You cannot rest on your oils. You can in Nigeria, especially in our type of business. There are over 300 digital lenders in Nigeria alone. So they're lending and they're lending based on the USP of convenience. Don't come to our office. There are over 300. There's some that even do it in a matter of minutes in terms of using algorithms to sort out your information and then give you the loan. And then they would learn the pattern of your repayments and then increase based on that. So imagine competing virtually like that. Imagine competing physically with the actual banks, physical banks, that have a base. Then you compete with the neobanks as well. You now compete with people like you that are trying to think outside the box. There are lots of competitors. It's highly fragmented and the barrier to entry is super low. It's like really some people open their books and start to lend money out of that. That's how easy it is to become a lender, right? So if we have all this, maybe not threat, but maybe this is the situation that we find ourselves in. How do you do it differently? How do you conceive a new market segment from what is existing in the market right now? So we're always constantly thinking about the next thing. What's the next best thing? And taking risks, because the truth is you lose money. The way we lost money with the Okada ban policy, we lost money, but you lose money. And one of the things that we will not do is pour out billions of naira into a new product that we haven't tested. We're going to test it again, and again. And then in that testing, learn along the way what to do, what not to do. Because this is us trying to create a blue ocean in a red ocean, or at least moving away from the red ocean into the blue ocean, right? So creating even a new mind of evolving with the people that are evolving. So you are evolving on your own. So we were now evolving just a little ahead of you so that we are able to take and give you a solution to a problem that you find in France, which is how this came up, which is how the taxi money products came up, which is how the school business loans came up. For normal businesses, you can pay on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis, depending on how your inflow comes. But for schools, for instance, you find that schools are open September for first term, January for second term, and then April, May for third term. So we started to fix the repayment pattern around, like the heavy payments for principal around those months, so that it gives the school business a fighting chance. So, I mean, just keeping your eyes peeled, thinking and trying to think outside the box.
And that is truly inspirational.
Thank you.
And at this moment here, I'm going to give the quote for the day. Innovation is change that unlocks new value. Why this resonates with me is, as you said, at a very young age, you used to move a lot. You experienced a lot of change. And for you, you took a lot from that, and that required you to anchor yourself down. And as you anchor, you have your real estate business that really grounds you in terms of, it's a grounded expression of Sycamore.
Yeah.
But I think when you talked about your real estate business, you talked about it as an opportunity that came through almost an innovative experience or an innovative test where you had nothing to really lose. You got an oversized office space and you innovated around that, and in an attempt to unlock new value. And even as you and that was also as you were growing Sycamore. So as you were growing your initial business, you identified or stumbled across another business. And for me, I think that is the essence of innovation, being able to see, being able to keep your eye out for opportunities. But then once you find those opportunities, testing and learning, so that you don't necessarily fail your failure is not too large, but at the same time, you're not afraid to fail. And I mean, you saw the shock in my voice when you told me about the policy. Woke up one day and was changed. The quotas were out, and the whole product line disappeared like instantly. And I guess with innovation comes failure, with risks come reward, and sometimes also failures. But at the end of the day, if we're able to pivot towards success and not let instances drag you or sink you down, that in itself speaks of grit, determination, but it comes with innovation, or it is a byproduct of innovating and unlocking new value. So even when you sit there and you anticipated 6 months for a license to come out, an ethics license to come out, your innovation got stopped and you had to pause all those creative and new boundaries and extents that you wanted to explore for an entire 24 months. You did not let that hold you guys down, and you focused on the other products and you built the business. You drove with a level of determination that was inspired and motivated by the need to innovate and unlock new value. I hear you when you talk to me and you say legacy, even though 60 is far and therefore you got a lot of work to do. I cannot help but really appreciate the way your entire journey has been founded around unlocking new value and driven by innovation, as much as it is potentially driven by the idea of leaving a legacy. And I love your insight around personal accounts versus business account. And I'm going to be the first one here to admit, when I wake up tomorrow, I am going to separate my personal stuff, my personal account with my business account, because I do not want to be judged for that manicure pedicure that I went to go get against my piggery. And it's like, how is this guy running his business? And be over and beyond that, I guess it just shows a level of discipline, which is something that you talked about through your boarding school experience. Discipline and organization. If I'm not able to organize and be disciplined about how I manage my money, where I put it, how I show it within income statements, and how I show my cash flow, so that anybody can aggregate that and make meaningful sense and make meaningful deductions, because that is the essence of running a business. You have to be organized. You have to be disciplined. And even beyond that, you then talk about your own business, balancing the short-term and long-term goals. Ethics is the whole continent. I mean, the whole world has got elements about ethics, and sometimes that barrier of breaching your ethical limit is too low. How do we hold ourselves to better account? How do we grow meaningful businesses so that it's not for the short term, it is for a longer term? And you talked about people, and within this podcast for us is to be able to share the stories that other people have gone through, the experiences that they've gone through, and help people derive either insights, tips, tools, and or motivation and encouragement. And through your story, such as your Hand of Love philanthropy work, where you were sitting in COVID land and started cooking for people around you, and then you couldn't let that passion go for supporting and helping the needs of others. And for me, it's been an absolute pleasure having you today.
Thank you.
I have had an informative discussion, but even more so is one that I can derive a lot of inspiration. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed our conversations and you want to have more insightful discussions and hear from other incredible guests, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us to grow and continue bringing this amazing content. Thanks for joining in.